So today we're going to be reading Jeremiah 1, and the reason I decided to start out this video series on Jeremiah is because my pastor recently did a sermon, and I think the greatest takeaway point of this sermon was, would you want Jeremiah as your pastor? And the basis that he supported that statement with is saying that the words of Jeremiah are considered, Jeremiah the prophet, his words are considered very harsh. And it's because he gives this kind of straight up talk that kind of says, don't BS your way through anything, and stop faking it. And it kind of lies in theme with what's said in Matthew on the Sermon on the Mount, where people will call out to you and say, Jesus, Jesus, I've followed you my entire life. I've performed miracles in your name. And Jesus will turn to you and say, who are you? I do not know you. Go away from me. And what my pastor was ultimately saying was that Jesus quotes Jeremiah so often, and a lot of the sentiment in the moments where we might consider Jesus or Jeremiah to be harsh is where they are in line with each other. And so that's kind of why I wanted to start with Jeremiah. And for the future videos, I'm just going to be reading. It'll be my first time reading it as I go through. Now, I've probably read all the verses before, but it's kind of the first time really reading through the Bible now that I'm a little bit older. I'm 24 now, but yeah. So we'll just start out, and like I said, first 3 chapters I've already read, but I just wanted to start out with the first chapter. The words of Jeremiah, son of Hilkiah, one of the priests at Anathoth in the territory of Benjamin. The word of the Lord came to him in the 13th year of the reign of Josiah, son of Amon, king of Judah. And through the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, down to the 5th month of the 11th year of Zedekiah, son of Josiah, king of Judah, when the people of Jerusalem went into exile. The word of the Lord came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Alas, sovereign God, I said, I do not know how to speak. I am too young. But the Lord said to me, Do not say I am too young. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. The word of the Lord came to me. What do you see, Jeremiah? I see the branches of an almond tree, I replied. The Lord said to me, You have seen correctly, for I am watching to see that my word is fulfilled. The word of the Lord came to me again. What do you see? I see a pot that is boiling, I answered. It is tilting toward us from the north. The Lord said to me, From the north disaster will be poured out on all who live in the land. I am about to summon all the peoples of the northern kingdoms, declares the Lord. Their kings will come and set up their thrones at the entrance of the gates of Jerusalem. They will come against all her surrounding walls and against all the towns of Judah. I will pronounce my judgments on my people because of their wickedness in forsaking me, in burning incense to other gods, and in worshiping what their hands have made. Get yourself ready. Stand up and say to them whatever I command you. Do not be terrified by them, or I will terrify you before them. Today I have made you a fortified city, an iron pillar and a bronze wall to stand against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the people of the land. They will fight against you, but will not overcome you, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. So, in the first 3 verses, we're just given the context of all that's going on. So um, yeah, so this is just the context of when Jeremiah was called to begin his livelihood as a prophet. And to be told that, you know, someone's being told that they're supposed to be a prophet, and if his response is, I am too young, it's probably because he feels very young, very immature, and doesn't know if his words are the right thing. I don't want to speculate too much because that's no good, but yeah, I feel like this is a humble response by Jeremiah, which is cool to see. And the Lord immediately says, "Do not say that, and just go everywhere I tell you to." And more reassurance from God, which is very cool. So this was actually a really interesting part. The first time I read it, I didn't dissect it entirely, but when God starts talking about touching his mouth and saying, I have put my words in your mouth, and then immediately starts by saying, what do you see? Jeremiah responds with, I see the branch of an almond tree. And at first I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, that must be like some deep metaphor for some like really cool stuff. But no, God was just saying, see, look, my word is in your mouth. I wanted you to say that. That's what I put in there, and you said it. So everything's working out. So I actually found this a little bit comical when I realized it for the first time. But following this, there actually is one that is metaphorical, and it has a purpose to it. So when God asks him again, what do you see? Jeremiah responds, I see a pot that is boiling and is tilting towards us from the north. And God actually had a purpose for this, being that there's going to be a bunch of people summoned from the northern kingdoms that are actually going to attack Jerusalem. And yeah, so that's when Jeremiah is all locked into being a prophet, I guess. And God follows this by telling Jeremiah why all of this is going to be happening. And it's because Israel had gone through a period of just disobeying God entirely and worshiping other gods. And so, God needed to speak to them through someone who might have had a harsher tongue. And Jeremiah, being young and very new to the entire idea of this, was the one chosen. And verse 18 is actually one that I like a lot, just because the formation of what it's saying, just, I have made you a fortified city, an iron pillar, and a bronze wall to stand against the whole land. I would like to be made into a fortified city, an iron pillar, and a bronze wall to stand against lands that are not good. I mean, those sound like some pretty good traits of someone who wants to follow God. And after I read every one of my chapters, I do a prayer, and that's how I like to start my day. But for these first couple of videos that I've already read, I'm just going to do it at night because I want to keep up with my normal readings. So yeah, but what a verse! And they will fight against you, but will not overcome you, for I am with you and will rescue you. And that's just the constant theme, is the idea that you're going to be supported by God, and that he's made you into what you are, and that the only thing you need to fear is, wait, right. Do not be terrified by them, or I will terrify you before them. So things in life are scary, but not listening to God is much more scary. And so, while it might be hard to kind of formulate the idea of something that you might not be able to, I guess, feel or see on, our physical, with our physical abilities. It kind of just shows you that the only reason anyone ever has a need to feel fearful is if they're disobeying. And every time it's just more reassurance. I will rescue you. You know, do not say I'm too young. Do what I will to command. Do what I say, and go wherever I command you. And yeah, so just a really nice way to start off the chapter and give us a little bit of context of what's to come in the rest of Jeremiah. And yeah, so that's all for this video. I don't like to do I don't think doing prayers and videos is something I'd want to do, just because, prayers, there's something to do between you and God. It's your communication with God. And yeah, so that concludes it for the first chapter of Jeremiah. And I'll see you guys next time.